Hey, how's everybody doing today? This is Mark Brody, and back here on the first episode of 2023 with Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And I have with me the amazing and awesome Lasha Murray. Lasha, how you doing today?
I'm great. Happy New Year. Happy 2023.
Happy
Thanks for having
2023.
me.
Oh man, I've had this marked on my calendar since I first saw you back in at the ACCA symposium back in October. And I'm like, oh, we got to get her booked, you know.
And I'm
So
like, yay, thank
yeah.
you.
Oh, thank you very much. So, Laisha, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, what you're up to these days.
So I am the unapologetic career coach. The reason why people call me that is because I am truly authentic. What you see is what you get, and it is how I've maneuvered in my 20 plus career in corporate America. What I realized in my career is there were so many other people just existing in their career as a version of what they thought people wanted them to be, and it wasn't getting them anywhere. And I had so many people approach me and say, Laisha, like, you change your hair, you're so authentic, you just kind of do your own thing. But I realize that leaders gravitate towards you, executives gravitate towards you. It hasn't stopped you from moving in your career. How do you do it? And I just realized that I had to do something about that. So because I'm a servant leader, I'm like, all right, Laisha, how do you help others be able to do the same thing? And so the Unapologetic Career Coach was born. And so I have a coaching business that helps with a multitude of things. I offer individual services such as resume writing, interview prep, confidence building, career strategy. And then I offer a master course. It's called Whose Career Is It Anyway? That basically helps you with a lot of that, building relationships. What's a mentor? What's a sponsor? What do they mean? What do they do? How do they help you in your career? How do you nail an interview? How do you structure your resume? And then truly, what's your brand? What does your brand say about you? What does your work product say about you? And then how do you pull that all together in a true authentic package? And then my business services is I do keynote speaking. Whose Career Is It Anyway is an actual keynote where I go to colleges and teach the same concept. As well as for organizations, I go in and teach leaderships how to really retain their talent because, as you know, the things that used to inspire people pre-pandemic no longer inspires people post-pandemic. So how can companies truly combat the true resignation? And so really teaching companies my bang theory, which we can discuss a little bit in further, but commercial, corporate and individual services I offer as the Unapologetic Career Coach. So thanks for having me.
Whoa, I love the title, The Unapologetic Career Coach, because it really, I mean, in our interactions, you've always been like this authentic person that like you said, what you see is what you get. And, people that tune into you, they get a lot from my experience so far.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. So, you kind of dipped into this already as a professional career coach, among other things that you do. What are a couple of the challenges that you're seeing being experienced by professionals at all levels today? And just a quick follow up on that is how are these different today versus pre-pandemic?
Yeah, so I would say two struggles is really connecting with their employers, connecting with their workforce, really understanding the workforce and what they do and why they're inspired to do it. Pre-pandemic, companies had a program, they had a mission, they had a strategy, and employees felt compelled to do it. Then the pandemic happened, and some people lost their jobs. Some people really or if they didn't lose their job, maybe their spouses or significant others lost their job. So then it was figuring out, how do I create an income to continue to keep the wheels on the track. And then after that, people started to realize that the things that inspired them or the things that they held in high regard didn't make sense anymore. Like, you had people that were chasing money. Then they realized during the pandemic, celebrities who had money were still in the exact same boat as you were. They were stuck at home in their houses doing the same things that you were doing, they were doing virtual learning with their children, just like
Mhm.
you were. Their money didn't really help them. So then I think it really started to redefine people's priorities and their goals and what was more important to them. And so if you don't, when you start to do that and you work for an organization that doesn't necessarily align with those goals, or
Hmm.
you feel like they're not as engaging, or they don't have a program that's solid for you that you can totally see yourself in, people are starting to go, yeah, why am I here? Why do I still work for you? And so that's what I've realized. I just, people's priorities have changed. And
Hmm.
if organizations don't realize how to re-engage and re-inspire their workforce, people will continue to vote with their feet. They're going to keep leaving, which the great resignation. And
Yeah.
what companies don't realize is, before, it was okay to have a methodology that 80% of my workforce needed to be in office and only 20% of my workforce could work from home.
Yeah.
Nowadays, before, if I had a dream to work for Starbucks' corporate office, I had to move to Seattle. Well, not anymore, because now with this new pandemic, people realize, oh, I can get just as much productivity out of my people working from home as I can in the office. And so companies really need to just take a step back and understand that if you are still of the thought process that I'm hybrid and I'm requiring employees to come into office, or there are no work from home opportunities and I want everybody to come on back in the office, people aren't willing to work that way anymore. People are willing to leave companies that they've been with for 20, 25, 30, 40 years to go somewhere else that speaks more to them and speaks to what they prefer. And I'm one of those coaches that I tell my clients, treat yourself like a business. Make business
Hmm.
decisions that best suit your business needs. And if that means your company or your organization no longer suits your business needs, then what are we doing? Maybe it's time to reassess.
Exactly. I love that strategy because um, I think over the last couple of years, what the labor market has shown us is the pendulum can swing very, very quickly from an employer market to an employee market. And like you spoke about, I mean, employees know that there's choices out there. Um, and I'm not talking like just your frontline employees. I'm talking all the way up to, senior executives. There's choices, there's opportunities. People are starting to realize what value they bring to an organization, not the job title that they bring to the organization. You know,
Absolutely. And
you know,
again, it's that's the other feedback that I'm always giving my clients. Don't chase titles, chase opportunities. Because a title can still get you a dead end. It'll get you to the top of the rank, and then what? Then where do you aspire to be to then? And so instead,
exactly.
if you're chasing opportunities, you could never chase an opportunity that ends, because opportunities will continue to always happen. And so I think, again, people are starting to reprioritize their lives. What they're starting to ask themselves, what's important to me? And when they think about what's important to them, and then they try to align their lifestyle to really embold that, if they look at their organizations and their organizations are not aligned to that, they're willing to leave.
Yeah.
And again, to your point, it's at all levels. It's not just your front line. It's not just your phone call center employees. It's not even your mid-level management. It is all the way at executive levels. Executive levels are voting with their feet if organizations cannot get behind a new way of thinking and re-engaging and re-inspiring the workforce. And so I am here to help both sides of that, right? I'm helping the organization
Yes.
understand how to train the talent, and then I'm helping the individual understand and really just hone in on what's important to you and make sure that everything representative in your life is about that.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I love that. Because if both sides, employer, employee, if they can't see the other side through their lens, they're missing a lot right there.
Well,
Um,
and then that's the reason why executive coaching is so important, right? Because
yes.
again, the pandemic didn't only just bring about different changes, but social changes started to happen. There's a lot that is happening, and who's training the leadership to do anything about that? Like, how, if I'm a leader and only thing I know is really, I don't have a lot of those soft skills. I have a lot of I can read the numbers, I can tell you what we're doing wrong in the numbers, and I can tell people what we need to do to manage to the numbers. But how are we helping these leaders manage to the emotions?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the
I love
pandemic
that.
all of these social changes and all of this culture and DE&I, those are all mushy, warm and fuzzy. And so if I'm a leader and I'm not really good at the warm and fuzzy, what is my organization doing to prepare me for the warm and fuzzy so that I can continue to re-engage and re-inspire all of these bodies that are coming through the door who wants me to have some warm and fuzzy?
Yes. And I love that you used the term inspire, um, because I think that gets lost a lot in today's leadership. It's not as much about managing the numbers or managing the people. Are you inspiring teams to be better tomorrow than they are today? How are you going about doing that? And it doesn't matter what type of organization you're in. If you're in contact center, if you're manufacturing, if you're, whatever. If people don't have a purpose with the organization that they're working for or working with, like you said, they're going to vote with their feet.
And the thing that I always tell people is if they can't see themselves in your strategy, if they can't see themselves in your future proofing, if they can't see themselves in your business, then they won't see themselves at your business. Like,
Yes.
if I can't see myself in your leadership, if I can't see like in your strategy where my work that I do plugs into that or helps build that or helps grow that, then I can't see myself at your organization. And again, people vote with their feet. And then the other thing that I always tell people is, if I don't want to work for you, I don't want to work with you.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So people talk a lot about the different stages of a career progression, early stage, mid stage, late stage, whatever the uh, time frame people want to put in it, or what, you know. But what would your top three recommendations be for folks who would consider themselves like mid-career or late stage, early, or at those different stages of their career? What would your recommendations be?
Um, I always tell people to really take a step back and understand what's important to you. Take what are the three things that are important to you, whether that's family, career, and health, whatever order that is in. Once you put that in order, then take a step back and say, what am I currently doing that aligns with what's important to me?
Mhm.
And you do that at any stage. So if I'm a college student and I'm about to graduate college and go into the career force, I need to understand what's important to me. What are my three must haves in anything that I want to go acquire, right? And then from there, you work backwards. So I always tell people to have a 5-year plan. If
Mhm.
you have a 5-year plan, then you can always work yourself backwards. And so 3 years ago, I decided I wanted to be a career coach and I put together a 5-year plan. So the plan was, first, I wanted to do courses. I wanted to create master courses, which I created. And then boom, the pandemic happened. And people were like, Lasha, I can't afford a course. I need help with a resume. Like, I had a job for 15 years and I haven't had to do a resume in 15 years. I haven't had to interview in 15 years. So part of not only creating a plan and working backwards is also being agile and being having the ability to flex, bob and weave. People, you got to be able to bob and weave, because sometimes life will punch you in the chin and you got to be able to bob and figure out, all right, I'm gonna shake that off and be able to move to whatever's going to happen next. So create a 5-year plan, work backwards. And then when I say work backwards, what do you need to get to that 5-year plan? Because maybe you don't have the education. Maybe you don't have the experience yet. Maybe you need to go do some job shadowing. You don't always have to go get a degree in order to get to the next level. People forget that there's an opportunity to do job shadowing. There's networking, there's mentoring, there's an opportunity. What if you can't get that opportunity at your job? I tell people, think about all of the nonprofits out here that need talent.
Yes.
So if you're interested in diversity and inclusion, but you can't get that experience at your job, are there some nonprofits out there that needs that diverse perspective where you can
Mhm.
hone in on that skill set? Maybe you don't have the ability to pay for school. Maybe your job doesn't pay for school. Maybe your finances doesn't allow you to. Where can you go learn that skill set from for free? Nonprofits, churches, other companies, like other opportunities, and networking creates that gap and that experience that you can gain from. So really just being flexible, you got bob and weave, and then understanding that failure is inevitable. You can't prevent it. you're not going to be able to do everything. So if A, you create that plan and work backwards, B, be flexible, and C, you're going to need to understand that there's a chance you're going to fail. When I originally came out the gate saying I'm going to be a career coach and I'm going to help people and I'm going to create this master course and people are going to sign up for my master course, and the pandemic happened and they were like, yeah, I don't want your master course, I need a resume. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all right, well, guess I'm going to bob and weave and I'm going to start doing resumes and interview prep. And then it was like, all right, now that I've mastered that, what else can I do to continue to be a servant leader and help others? And so it's like, I see a need in corporations. I see that corporations haven't realized that until you re-engage and re-inspire, the great resignation is going to continue. And so it's like, all right, how can I now help organizations and helping with that? And that's some executive coaching and some leadership coaching, because the employees will be just fine. The
Mm-hmm.
leaders are the ones that are struggling right now.
Do you see people too focused on the what and not able to answer the why question? So for
Absolutely.
yeah.
Like the prime example of that are all of these companies that were in a work from home for a year and a half, almost 2 years. Multiple companies work from home. And then
Yep.
all of a sudden, the world started opening back up and they're like, everybody come back in the office. And everybody's like,
Mm-hmm.
why? And the
Yep.
answer is so we can be more collaborative. Why are you saying that we weren't collaborative when we were working from home? Oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's because we want people to be together in offices and just building off of each other. And it's like, yeah, but we also did that in 2 years when we were from home. And so companies are having a hard time explaining to their employees when real honesty, if companies just said, look, we get tax breaks on these buildings. So if we get rid of these buildings and we got to pay for these buildings, I'm gonna have to take this money out of your paycheck. So we need
Yep.
to put butts in seats so that we continue to get these tax breaks and these tax benefits so that you can continue to get the money that we pay you. Like if companies just be really honest and
Yeah.
say what it is as an employee, I can get behind that. Just tell me what it is. But I think so
Exactly.
much we're doing these jazz hands. We're like,
Yeah.
just watch the hands. Don't listen to what we're saying. Just watch the hands. And people are like, the math ain't mathing. Help me understand what you're trying to tell me.
Do you think folks that vote with their feet are too focused on the what and not the why they want to make a change? Or do you think they're able to understand they have the why, but they don't know the what? Do you think it's a little bit different for folks that decide to say, hey, peace out, y'all. I'm gone.
I think it could be a little bit of both. I think there's a lot of people jumping ship because they can, right? They
Yep.
don't really have a strategy. They just know that I don't have to work here anymore. Like before, to your point, right? If you lived in a small town,
Mhm.
you were stuck with whatever your small town options were. But then the
Yep.
pandemic happened, companies started to open up their remote, hybrid,
Hmm.
work from home. So it's like, hey, I can go work, I can still live here and go work for a company in New York City. So I'm just going to jump and go and do that. So I
Yes.
think it's a little bit of both. It's people kind of jumping around and seeing what they can do.
Hmm.
And then I think the second part of that is people are saying, like, I'm beating down the door telling you what I need and you're not listening. So guess what? I'm just going to go somewhere else. And then guess what? If I go there, this new generation, they different. I love this new generation. The new generation is
Hmm.
like, if you what I want, I'm going to go somewhere else and find it. And then they get
Yes.
there and they're like, oh, you're not going to give me what I want? Fine. I'm going to go to the next place. And nine
Yep.
months later, I'm going to go to the next place. Like back in the day, how I was raised is you got a good job, you got good benefits, and you work that job for 40 years and then you retire. Not this
Hmm.
new new generation is they want all of it. They don't want to leave no crumbs
Yes.
on their plate. They want it all. And I'm truly inspired by that generation because I just feel like, not to mention that entrepreneurship is at an all-time high.
Hmm. Yep.
There's so many people that leveraged them being the pandemic where they felt a little lost or when they lost their job and they didn't know what to do. A business man or woman was made out of that, where they took what they did know how to do and they hustled and then they realized I can work for myself and I don't have to work for somebody else and I can still get money. Let's do it. So I
The
think,
side gig became the main gig.
yeah, absolutely. The side gig
Yeah.
became the main gig. And so I think the pandemic changed a lot of people, just entrepreneurs, like the way that I think about where I want to work, how I want to work. And honestly, companies got to catch up.
I would totally agree. You talked a little bit about this just a moment or so ago about professional development. Hey, what skills, what education, what this, what that, and where to get those. Who owns professional development in your estimation?
Such a great question, Mark. So I have a keynote that I present. It's called Whose Career Is It Anyway? It's yours. Professional development is yours to own. Your company doesn't own your professional development. Your leadership does not own your professional development. I got in a habit probably middle of last year. I don't call anybody my boss anymore because nobody's the boss of me. And so I often refer to people as my leadership. And so your leader, i.e., your boss, is not responsible for your professional development. Now, your leadership and your company are a stakeholder in your professional development. So, what I mean by that is it is your responsibility to gain the knowledge, to gain the experience, to gain whatever it is for you to get to the next level in your career. As a stakeholder, you then go, hey, leader, I've achieved my degree in X, or hey, leader, I've been networking or shadowing or with this work area for this amount of time. And these are the skills that I've learned that now I want to apply in my current business so that I can show you I'm ready for whatever the XYZ next level is. So that's a stakeholder. And then as an organization, providing places for me to then go, right? Project opportunities, roles, succession planning, places for me to then take this knowledge that I've acquired or the degree that you've helped me pay for to then go apply it somewhere. So they are a stakeholder, but the onus is truly on the individual. So if you're one of those people that have just kept your head down and worked really hard and just assumed that your work product would speak for itself and that someone is then going to come and go, hey, Lasha, it's your turn. You ready? That tap is not coming. It's very rare that tap is going to come. It is not enough to do your job and do it very well. And it's some people are like, what? I have a lot of clients that are like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's not how you professionally develop and career grow. Like you can grow your career, you can have all of this knowledge and you can sit in your little cubicle and do your job and you do it very well. But if no one else knows about it, it doesn't matter.
It's interesting when I started in the contact center world 32 years ago.
You're dating
I
yourself there, Mark.
Man, I'm telling you, it's been a minute or two. um, I remember having a conversation when I made the choice to leave the organization that I started at. I'd say grew up with, and they're like, "Well, why are you going to leave this company?" People would ask me that, and it's like, well, I know what we do here very well, but if I want to grow in this industry, and this industry isn't this silo, it's across multiple industries, I have to go out and experience what it's like to apply this skill set in other verticals. Um, and that's the way that, for me, that's the way that I've kind of chosen to drive my career. And it's worked out, I mean, overall. I have no regrets. But it's interesting, when we're talking about like this new generation, Gen Z or Generation Alpha,
They're a whole vibe.
whatever.
I love them.
Yeah, I mean, they are just like, we don't care what the industry is, we don't care what the job is, just tell me what I need to do and I'll go figure it out.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but they're also very vocal in what else needs to apply. They're not
Yes.
okay with just a paycheck. They want to know, what does my company do for the environment? What do they do for
Hmm.
the what do they do for social injustices? What are they like?
Yes.
They want to know holistically as an organization, what do you do when these things happen? So some of these companies that when all of the George Floyds and all of these things started to happen and they remained quiet, these
Hmm.
new Gen Zs are like, yep, not the company I want to work for. You didn't
Yep.
have a word to say. Like, that's not a company that represents me and who I am. And again, if I can't see myself in your organization, I won't see myself in your organization.
Well, and I think a big driver of that is social media and people's um, social tags. You know, if they're on LinkedIn or they're on Facebook or Insta, how does new generation say Insta or Snap?
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, and people know them as a representation sometimes of the places that they earn an income at. And especially if they put who their employer is or the type of work they do. um, Back in our generation, our employer defined kind of who we were. And nowadays it's like with social media, no, here's who I am, and here's who I will go ahead and work for that represents me the best. So I think it was a great point that you just pulled out. Well, hey, we're getting close to the end here. Um,
So
how
fast.
about doing a speed round? You ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right. So, what fact about Lasha would people be surprised to learn about you?
That I'm sensitive. I am a crybaby cry. When I watch a very like This Is Us, oh, every episode I'm like, "Ooh," and I'm ugly crying. A lot of
Oh,
people feel like since I'm such a some people consider me a badass, and I take it and I own that and I appreciate that. But I'm very sensitive. I am a crybaby cry. So people are surprised by that when they look over at me during a movie and I'm like tissues and they're like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Mind your business."
oh yeah, yeah. I could see both sides of it, just but we've interacted quite a bit, so
Yeah.
I could see that. So next question: what is your ideal off the grid location? Where do you
Never.
go just to be you?
Nowhere. So off the grid is no such thing. I can't be off the grid. So people energize me, Mark.
Yes.
So most people, when like at work, when most people are exhausted, they go get coffee. I get up and I go interact with people because people is what energizes me. But what I will say, I'm not one of those off the grid people. So I'm never going to be one of those people that live like in the woods somewhere because I'm scared of bugs and bugs terrify me. But if I had to go off the grid and away from everyone in my house, I would say it's my back patio. Oftentimes my husband puts me on punishment in the back patio when I'm not having a good day. He'll be like,
Uh-huh.
go to timeout. And so my timeout is my back patio. And I just kind of zen, a glass of wine and a good audible book because I don't have time to turn pages. Don't judge me. I am a audible. But that's my disconnects when I need to disconnect. But I'm definitely not an off the grid living type of individual where you wouldn't be able to find me. So I would always be traceable.
Excellent. Excellent. I love that answer because I mean it really speaks to who you are, you know. Yeah, definitely. So here's a different question. So what product jingle gets stuck in your head and you just can't it just lives in your head every time you hear it?
Lives in my head rent free. We
Mhm.
are farmers. Boom, 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 boom. It's like you hear the commercials are so freaking cute, and then that little jazz, that little slogan at the end,
Yeah.
slowly but surely, I'm walking around the house and I'm like, boom, boom. Oh crap, stop it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, Laisha, we've gotten to the end here. Um, Lots of great nuggets that we've talked about, and we're just scratching the surface. I mean, I'm sure you and I could talk on any one of these topics for like hours upon hours. Um, and if someone wants to pick your brain on career coaching or any of the other services that you offer, um, career development, they feel stuck or whatever the case may be, how could they go ahead and contact you?
Yes, so I have my website is theunapologeticcareercoach.com. My email is theunapologeticcareercoach.com. My LinkedIn is isn't this it's Lasha Murray more. I mean, you can find me at Lasha Murray on LinkedIn. And then my Insta, per the young kids, my Insta is Lasha underscore Murray underscore TUCC for the Unapologetic Career Coach. So you can find me in all of my socials. I am actively engaged and posting. I absolutely do respond. And I look forward to really just help elevating people. I always, the biggest thing for me is to leave people better than I found them. And so if I can do that and 20 seconds are left or in a session or whatever that is for you, that's the ultimate goal.
Well, Leisha, I will tell you, you've definitely left this day better for me than it was 20 minutes ago. And
Okay.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for being a guest on Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And please, if you're watching this, you're watching our conversation, I definitely encourage you to, regardless of what industry you're in, reach out to Leisha, schedule some time with her. Um, if anything, it'll be the best hour or 30 minutes or 20 minutes of your life on that particular day, because you're going to get so much wisdom from her in just a short period of time. And Leisha, thank you very much. And
Thank you for having me.
you
I
know,
appreciate it.
and look forward to speaking to everyone again here soon. Thanks.